The moment a narcissist realizes you're truly done with them, something shifts in the air. It's almost spiritual. They can feel the loss of your energy before you even say a word. And that's when they reach for their final trick, the last card they believe will pull you right back into their cycle. Maybe it's sudden kindness, maybe it's a crisis, maybe it's "I've changed," or maybe it's the silent treatment meant to confuse your spirit. But what they don't know is this: in 2026, God is lifting empaths to a level where manipulation no longer works. This year, your intuition is sharper, your boundaries are stronger, and your soul is finally protected. So stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to reveal will help you recognize that last card instantly and walk away with power, clarity, and peace. And if this message speaks to you, drop a comment saying "I'm protected," or tap subscribe so you never miss another warning meant for your spirit. Your breakthrough starts now. When a narcissist senses that your energy is no longer tied to theirs, something deep inside them begins to unravel. They may still look calm on the outside, still act confident, still pretend nothing is wrong, but internally, panic starts spreading through their system like a silent alarm. Narcissists survive on emotional control: your attention, your reactions, your forgiveness, your hope. These things feed them more than love ever could. So when you pull that energy back, when you stop explaining, stop responding, stop giving them emotional access, they feel it instantly. It's not just psychological, it's spiritual. They feel the disconnect the way a drowning person feels the loss of air. And that is when their last card begins to activate. They know something is slipping away from them, something they can't replace easily, something they can't manipulate back into place. Losing control doesn't just scare them, it threatens their very sense of identity, because without someone to dominate, they don't know who they are. Their worth was built on taking, not giving. Their confidence was built on your empathy, not their own strength. And this is why the moment you detach, even quietly, they begin to panic behind the mask they wear. This panic shows up in strange, sudden behavior. They may act overly sweet or overly angry. They might start checking on you more often, or they might completely withdraw to make you wonder what's wrong. Sometimes they come running back with grand gestures, promises, apologies that sound deep but feel empty. Other times, they pretend they don't care at all, hoping their silence will pull you back toward them. But all of these reactions come from the same place: the fear of losing control over the one person who truly saw them. Narcissists don't fear losing love, they fear losing supply. They fear losing the person who kept forgiving them, understanding them, and believing their potential even when their actions never matched their words. When that person is gone, their world cracks. Inside the narcissist's mind, this disconnect feels like exposure. Without your emotional energy, they are forced to face their own emptiness, and that emptiness terrifies them. They panic because they know that once an empath pulls away, the connection is no longer safe for manipulation. They panic because they know you have finally seen the truth. And panic because, deep down, they know they would never find another soul like yours again. So their last card is not strategy, it's desperation wrapped in manipulation. They throw out anything they think might work: guilt, charm, anger, vulnerability, nostalgia, promises, or chaos. They are hoping you will return to the old pattern, the old version of yourself that cared more about the relationship than your own peace. But the moment you choose peace, their last card loses its power. Their calm fades, their mask cracks, and their panic becomes visible in every move they make, because they know the empath they once controlled is gone, and the person standing before them now is someone they can never break again. When a narcissist senses that you're truly done, something dramatic and almost theatrical happens. They suddenly transform into the version of themselves you always wished they could be. It feels shocking at first, because this is the side you begged to see, the version you prayed for, the version that only existed in tiny moments before disappearing again. But now, when you're ready to leave, they bring it out in full force. They become attentive, gentle, thoughtful. They listen. They remember the small details. They mirror your dreams, your values, your goals. They speak with a softness you haven't heard in years. It feels like they finally understand you, finally see you, finally care. But what makes this moment confusing is that it feels so real, because you wanted this so badly. You wanted the love you gave to be matched, the loyalty you offered to be returned, and the empathy you extended to be appreciated. So when they suddenly become your perfect partner or your perfect friend, it echoes everything you once hoped for. But underneath this sudden transformation is not love, it is survival. Narcissists don't change because they had an awakening, they change because they felt their control slipping. Their final move is shape-shifting, becoming the exact version of a person you can't easily walk away from. They study you deeply, not to understand your soul, but to understand your needs. They use this knowledge to mold themselves into your ideal image, not for connection, but for possession. When they sense you drifting, they know that only something dramatic will pull you back, so they become the one thing that once made your heart soft. This is not growth, this is strategy. This is not healing, this is manipulation dressed as effort. During this phase, everything feels intense. They suddenly communicate better, show affection, and make promises about the future. They may talk about therapy, about changing habits, about wanting a healthy relationship or friendship. They may tell you they finally recognize your worth. But notice the timing. These transformations only happen when you're walking out the door. They didn't change when you cried, when you begged, when you explained your needs, or when you tried to repair things. They only change when they sense your energy pulling away, and that alone reveals the truth. This behavior is their last attempt to regain access to your empathy. Because your empathy was the treasure they never deserved but always depended on. They know you are the type of person who forgives, who hopes, who tries again. They know your heart is deep, and they try to use that depth against you. But the transformation never lasts. Once they feel secure again, the mask drops, and the old patterns return. The kindness fades. The effort stops. The promises dissolve. And you are left realizing that the perfect version of them was never real, it was a temporary performance designed to keep you from leaving. The moment you see through this illusion, everything becomes clear. They didn't become who you always wanted, they became who they needed to pretend to be, just long enough to pull you back into the cycle you finally found the strength to break. When a narcissist realizes you're emotionally done, they reach for one of the most powerful tools they have left: nostalgia. This move is subtle, emotional, and incredibly strategic, because it targets the part of you that once loved them deeply, the part that still remembers the good moments even after all the pain. So they begin pulling out old memories, old photos, inside jokes, songs you shared, places you visited, conversations that once made you feel seen. They remind you of the first time you met, the first time they made you laugh, the first moment you trusted them. They bring up promises they made long ago, promises they never kept but know still sit in the back of your mind. They play clips of the past like a highlight reel, hoping it will blur the truth of the present. They know nostalgia has a way of softening the heart, weakening boundaries, and confusing the mind. They know it can make you wonder, maybe it wasn't all bad, or maybe we could fix this. That tiny emotional wobble is exactly what they're aiming for. But what makes this tactic so dangerous is that narcissists use nostalgia with precision. They don't remind you of the full story, they remind you only of the parts that benefit them. They skip the nights you cried, the moments they dismissed your feelings, the times they disappeared, the times they hurt you, the times you begged to be understood. They rewind your history to the beginning, to the version of them you met, not the version they became. They try to take your mind back to the time when they held the most power over your emotions. By weaponizing nostalgia, they turn your own heart against you, using your memories as emotional bait. Nostalgia becomes the hook, your empathy becomes the target. This is why their last card is always rooted in the past. Because the future no longer includes them. Once a narcissist knows they can't enter your future, they drag you back into your history. The present doesn't benefit them anymore, because the present is where you see them clearly. The future terrifies them, because it's a future where you grow stronger, more aware, more healed, and far beyond their reach. So the only place left to manipulate you is the past, a place where they still had a role, a place where they still held influence, a place where your hope was still alive. But once you understand this tactic, you begin to see through the illusion. The memories they used to pull you back were moments they created for control, not connection. The promises they repeat now are the same ones they broke without hesitation. The photos they send show smiles that didn't match the reality behind closed doors. Nostalgia may whisper, but truth speaks louder. And the truth is simple: if the past was enough to build a future, you wouldn't have reached the point of ending things. When you realize that, their weapon loses its power. The past becomes just that, the past. And the narcissist realizes their final attempt to hold you no longer works, because you finally see the difference between remembrance and manipulation. When a narcissist feels you slipping away, they know their usual tactics, anger, guilt, charm, crisis, are losing power. So they reach for something deeper, something they know will speak to your spirit. They begin faking spiritual awareness. They start using language you never heard from them before. Suddenly, they are talking about healing, growth, accountability, or finding God. They speak about destiny, soul connections, spiritual lessons, divine timing. They may even reference scriptures, affirmations, or spiritual concepts they never cared about in the past. But this shift isn't coming from a place of genuine inner change. It's coming from fear. Because in 2026, empaths have awakened to a new level of spiritual clarity, and narcissists feel that shift more than anyone else. They know the empath is stepping into a place of discernment where manipulation can't survive, so they try to mimic that frequency, hoping you won't notice the difference. But the difference is always there. A narcissist's spiritual language has no depth behind it, no consistent action, no humility, no real introspection. It sounds poetic, but it doesn't match their behavior. They talk about healing, yet refuse to acknowledge the pain they caused. They talk about God, yet won't sit with accountability. They talk about becoming better, yet still repeat the same patterns the moment they feel safe again. What they are offering is imitation, words without roots, declarations without transformation. They hope that by mirroring your spiritual side, you will lower your guard, reopen the door, or give them one more chance. They know your heart responds to sincerity, so they try to impersonate it. In 2026 especially, awakened empaths are seeing through this performance faster than ever. Their intuition is sharper, their spiritual sense is clearer. They can feel when something is off even if the words sound right. They can sense when a person is using spirituality as a mask instead of a mirror. Empaths no longer fall for borrowed language or rehearsed apologies. They pay attention to patterns, not promises. They pay attention to energy, not expressions. They look for consistency, not spiritual labeling. So the narcissist's attempt to appear enlightened becomes painfully obvious. This fake spiritual awakening often shows up when they realize they've lost influence. They talk about wanting to grow together, wanting to rebuild with God, wanting to heal the bond, or wanting to wake up spiritually. But these sudden revelations always appear when they are losing access, not when they were hurting you, dismissing you, or taking advantage of your kindness. True spiritual awakening is quieter, slower, and deeply uncomfortable. It requires honesty, remorse, and change, none of which narcissists are prepared to endure. So instead, they perform. And that's the moment the empath truly sees the truth. Real transformation doesn't need an audience. It doesn't rely on impressive words or dramatic declarations. Real spiritual growth is shown by consistent change over time, not momentary inspiration. When a narcissist fakes spiritual awareness, they reveal exactly who they are. When a narcissist realizes they are losing their hold on you, they turn to one of the most emotionally powerful tactics they possess: manufactured crisis. It is one of their most dramatic, manipulative, and deeply calculated moves, and it always emerges when their usual methods fall flat. They know that your heart is sensitive, your empathy is strong, and your compassion is genuine. So when they can no longer reach you through anger, guilt, promises, charm, or nostalgia, they reach for the one thing they believe will break your boundaries instantly: your instinct to care for people in pain. And suddenly, as if on cue, a crisis appears. Sometimes it's real but exaggerated. Other times it's entirely fabricated. They may claim they are severely ill, depressed, heartbroken, injured, or dealing with some kind of emotional collapse. They may say they've lost their job, that a family member is in danger, that they are facing financial ruin, or that they're going through something catastrophic and only you can understand them. The irony is that when you were hurting, they were indifferent. But now that you're walking away, your compassion becomes the leash they are trying hard to pull. This crisis tactic is not accidental, it's strategic. Narcissists have an uncanny ability to sense exactly which emotional buttons work on which people. They know your history, your values, your wounds, your desire to help, and your natural instinct to rescue. They know you can't easily watch someone suffer, especially someone you once cared for. They also know the exact type of crisis that would trigger your compassion the most. For some empaths, it's health-related stories. For others, it's financial disaster or emotional collapse. And for others, it's family drama or urgent emergencies. A narcissist tailors the crisis to the type of empathy you possess. They use your greatest gift as a weapon against you. But what makes this manipulation so harmful is not just the crisis itself, it's the timing. Notice how the crisis always appears when you're done, not when they were mistreating you. Notice how it surfaces right when you establish boundaries, distance yourself, or stop responding. They didn't need you or love you during the months or years they were hurting you. They didn't reach out for support in moments when things were actually happening. But the very moment you reclaim your life, their world suddenly collapses. This isn't a coincidence, it's a tactic. They want you to feel responsible for them. They want you to drop everything to save them. They want your heart back in their hands, even if it means using fear, guilt, or pity to do it. And often, they don't just present the crisis, they dramatize it. They amplify small problems into disasters. They use emotional language, tears, shaking voices, or urgent messages. They emphasize how alone they feel, how no one else understands them, how they are scared, lost, or broken. If they feel the crisis is losing its impact, they escalate it. Some narcissists go as far as threatening self-harm, hinting at dark thoughts, or suggesting they're incapable of surviving without your presence. It is emotional blackmail disguised as vulnerability. It's dangerous because it targets not your weakness, but your goodness. But here is where 2026 becomes spiritually significant. Something about the energy of this year shifts the empath's inner clarity. For the first time, empaths around the world are recognizing manipulation in real time. They are no longer confused by the crisis tactic. They feel the falseness behind the words. They sense the lack of sincerity beneath the pleas. Their intuition rings louder than their compassion. In 2026, awakened empaths are learning to separate urgency from manipulation, pain from performance, crisis from control. Their divine discernment is sharper, faster, and stronger than ever before. They can feel the difference between someone genuinely needing help and someone using suffering as a fishing hook. This year, empaths begin to understand that true emergencies don't come with emotional strings attached. People in real crisis seek help from everyone, not just one person they're trying to control. People in real crisis don't guilt trip, don't dramatize, and don't time their pain around your boundaries. Empaths in 2026 stop feeling obligated to rescue people who were never willing to rescue themselves. They see through crocodile tears, dramatic stories, inflated problems, and sudden tragedies that only appear when the narcissist feels abandoned. They begin to realize that protecting their peace is not selfish, it's spiritual wisdom. And when the narcissist notices that their crisis card isn't working anymore, something within them fractures. They panic harder. They may intensify the drama, or they may shift to anger, blame, or the silent treatment. But nothing hits them harder than realizing that the empath they once manipulated through pity is now awake. Because once an empath's spiritual eyes open, they cannot unsee the truth. And once they stop reacting to crisis manipulation, the narcissist loses one of their most powerful tools forever. In 2026, empaths learn that compassion is holy, but it must be directed toward those who value it, not those who exploit it. They learn that love cannot fix someone who doesn't want to change. They learn that God does not require them to sacrifice their mental, emotional, or spiritual health to rescue people who are committed to chaos. And this realization becomes the turning point. The crisis that was meant to pull them back ends up pushing them forward. The manipulation meant to trap them becomes the final proof that they made the right decision. And that is the moment the narcissist understands the truth. The empath who once responded to every emergency has now found divine clarity. Their crisis card has failed. Their power is gone. And the empath is finally, completely free. When an empath reaches a certain level of spiritual awakening, something profound happens, something subtle, invisible, yet powerful enough to reshape every relationship in their life. In 2026, this shift becomes even more intense. Empaths all around the world are rising into a higher spiritual frequency, a kind of inner elevation where clarity replaces confusion, peace replaces chaos, and divine protection replaces emotional vulnerability. At this level, something the narcissist depends on begins to fail. Their words no longer trigger you. Their silence no longer scares you. Their anger no longer shakes you. Their charm no longer pulls you in. Their crisis no longer softens your boundaries. It's as if their entire arsenal of manipulation suddenly becomes useless, almost powerless. And it's not because the narcissist has changed, it's because you have. There comes a moment in every empath's journey when the spiritual door closes long before the physical door does. You may still be tied to the narcissist in some way, maybe through communication, shared space, or unresolved conversations, but spiritually, the connection is already breaking. Your energy pulls back months before your body walks away. Your intuition starts whispering truths before your mind is ready to accept them. You begin to see patterns you once excused. You feel drained in places that once felt familiar. You stop reacting to their chaos, their accusations, their guilt trips, their emotional storms. This is the moment where their energy starts sliding off of you instead of sinking into you. It's the first sign that God is sealing the spiritual door. And narcissists can feel it. They might not understand spirituality, but they feel the loss of control deeply. They sense the shift in your energy the same way a snake senses temperature. You pull away quietly, and they panic loudly. You detach emotionally, and they escalate dramatically. But nothing they do seems to land the way it used to. You don't argue the way you used to. You don't explain yourself endlessly. You don't defend your intentions. You don't respond to their bait. You don't internalize their attacks. You don't fall for their sweetness. You don't absorb their rage. They try, and try, and try, but the impact never reaches your core anymore. Because in 2026, the empath's frequency rises to a level where lower vibrations cannot reach them. At this stage, you feel a quiet strength inside you, a sense of spiritual insulation, as if your soul is surrounded by a layer of divine protection. The narcissist's manipulation feels like wind hitting a brick wall. Their insults don't pierce the way they used to, because you no longer accept their version of you. Their emotional outbursts don't destabilize you, because your nervous system isn't tied to their chaos anymore. Their crises don't pull you in, because you recognize the pattern instantly. Your heart doesn't break for their pain, because you finally understand that their pain is a performance, not a transformation. Their love bombing doesn't confuse you, because you see it as a cycle, not a miracle. This spiritual shift changes everything. It rewrites the way your energy responds to others. You become grounded. You become centered. You become aware. You become emotionally sovereign. For the first time in your life, you can distinguish between your emotions and someone else's projections. Your intuition becomes louder than your old wounds. Your discernment becomes sharper than your empathy. You can feel the difference between genuine connection and emotional manipulation. You sense when someone is trying to hook into your energy. You sense when they are pretending, performing, or imitating emotional depth. You sense when something is off even if the words sound right. In 2026, this gift becomes stronger than ever for empaths. And narcissists feel it before you fully realize it. They sense their energy bouncing off you like a ball hitting a wall. They sense your peace and resent it. They sense your clarity and fear it. They sense your strength and try to break it. They sense your rising frequency and try to pull you down. But the harder they try, the more obvious it becomes that you are no longer reachable. This is why no matter what card they play, anger, charm, guilt, love, desperation, crisis, regrets, spirituality, it simply doesn't land. You see it, you hear it, you recognize it, but you don't let it inside. Their energy feels heavy, repetitive, predictable. Their tactics feel like old stories you've outgrown. You start noticing how small their power really was, how everything they controlled was rooted in your fear, your hope, your love, your confusion. But now those doors are closed. Their voice doesn't echo in your mind. Their presence doesn't drain your spirit. Their absence doesn't create anxiety. Their approval no longer defines your worth. Their disappointment no longer dictates your behavior. Their validation no longer fuels your self-esteem. You have reclaimed your own soul. And here is the most powerful part. God sealed the door long before you had the courage to walk away. Your spiritual protection activated the moment the relationship began destroying your peace. God stepped in when you were too blind to see, too loyal to leave, too wounded to choose yourself. You may have blamed yourself for staying, but your soul was preparing for leaving. Every moment you grew tired, every moment you questioned things, every moment you felt uneasy, those were the signs of spiritual separation. The divine realm was gently lifting you out long before you realized you were rising. And narcissists can't fight what is divinely protected. They can't penetrate a soul covered by spiritual armor. They can't access a heart that God has sealed. They can't manipulate a spirit that has awakened. They can't break a person who has been rebuilt from within. Their energy becomes noise, their tactics become dust, their presence becomes powerless. When the empath reaches this stage in 2026, the narcissist experiences their greatest fear. You have become unreachable. Emotionally, spiritually, energetically. And once an empath becomes unreachable, the narcissist loses everything they once controlled. The spell breaks. The cycle ends. The bond dissolves. And for the first time, the empath walks forward with a peace that cannot be touched and a strength that cannot be taken. Because their energy can't penetrate you anymore. You've risen too high. You've grown too aware. And God closed the door before they ever had the chance to try again. When a narcissist realizes they can no longer control you privately, they panic, and that panic quickly turns into a public performance. This is one of their most predictable and desperate last cards, rewriting the story before anyone has the chance to hear the truth from you. Suddenly, they become the victim, the hero, the misunderstood one. They tell stories that paint you as unstable, dramatic, ungrateful, disloyal, or cold. They leave out their own behavior, the manipulation, the gaslighting, the silent treatment, the emotional abuse, and instead create a narrative that makes them look innocent. They twist details, exaggerate harmless situations, and flip every truth upside down. They show selective empathy to others, telling half-truths wrapped in sorrowful expressions and trembling voices. Their goal is simple: destroy your credibility before you can reclaim your freedom. Because once they lose emotional control of you, they try to control how others see you. This smear campaign is not random, it's strategic. Narcissists need admiration the way others need oxygen. Losing you puts a crack in that supply, and exposing the truth about them threatens their entire image. They know that if people knew what really happened behind closed doors, their reputation would collapse instantly. So they run ahead of the truth, hoping to confuse the public before clarity sets in. They plant seeds of doubt in mutual friends, family members, co-workers, anyone who might support you. They speak with confidence, because confidence is their camouflage. They perform vulnerability, because vulnerability earns sympathy. They say just enough to seem honest, but not enough to reveal their real motives. They wrap lies in emotion so people mistake manipulation for sincerity. But what makes 2026 different, what makes this year spiritually groundbreaking for empaths, is that spiritual justice moves faster than their lies. The energy of this year brings truth to the surface with incredible speed. People who once believed the narcissist start noticing inconsistencies. They observe the mismatch between words and behavior. They realize the narcissist is talking too much, too loudly, too often. They see their hunger for validation. They sense the bitterness beneath their sad stories. And they begin to question, why is this person so obsessed with proving they are right? Why do they need an audience to validate their pain? Meanwhile, the empath doesn't need to defend themselves. There is something so powerful about silent truthfulness that it exposes lies without a fight. Your calmness becomes a contrast to their chaos. Your quietness becomes proof. Your peace becomes evidence. Narcissists don't understand this, because they believe the one who speaks the loudest wins. But in 2026, the opposite becomes true. The loudest one looks guilty, and the quiet one looks honest. This is the year when truth carries a spiritual weight that cannot be hidden. As the narcissist pushes their story harder, cracks begin to show. People witness their anger slip through the mask. They catch their contradictions. They see moments of arrogance, entitlement, or inconsistency. They hear fragments of truth in your silence. They compare the narcissist's drama to your peace. And slowly, quietly, naturally, the truth begins to rise on its own, without you needing to confront anyone, explain yourself, or defend your character. You become a mirror that reflects their lies back at them simply by existing authentically. This is spiritual justice, not revenge, not karma in the traditional sense, but divine alignment. In 2026, lies don't last long, manipulation doesn't travel far, and false stories collapse quickly under the weight of truth. The smear campaign backfires, and people who once believed the narcissist start distancing themselves. Some even come to you quietly, apologizing or admitting they see things clearly now. Others see the narcissist's behavior for the first time and finally understand what you were enduring. And the narcissist, realizing their narrative is failing, becomes even more frantic, even more dramatic, which makes the truth even clearer. Eventually, their story collapses completely. Because no matter how hard they try, they cannot rewrite the truth God is revealing. They cannot erase the energy of peace you now carry. They cannot control the intuition of the people around them. And they cannot escape the spiritual justice of 2026, a justice that pulls truth to the surface like light breaking through fog. In the end, the smear campaign becomes their own confession. Every lie they tell becomes evidence against them. Every exaggeration becomes their downfall. Every attempt to destroy your image ends up exposing theirs. And you, the empath, don't have to fight, speak, or argue. Your truth stands on its own. Because this is the year when God makes sure the world sees clearly, when masks fall quickly, and when every hidden thing is revealed in its full light. When a narcissist senses that you are pulling away, their entire system goes into a kind of emotional emergency mode. And one of their final, desperate strategies is to test your boundaries, one last time. They poke. They provoke. They push. They pull. They say things designed to trigger old wounds, old fears, old habits. They send messages at strange hours. They pretend they just want to talk. They try to create small arguments about nothing. They act confused about why you're distant. They suddenly become overly sweet, overly cold, or overly dramatic. They will use silence 1 minute and pressure the next. They will show up unexpectedly, physically, emotionally, digitally, or energetically. This phase is calculated, but also instinctive. They want to know one thing: are you really done? Not half done. Not frustrated. Not tired. But truly, spiritually, emotionally finished. Because once an empath gets to that point, they know there's no return. So before they accept that loss, they test you in every way they can, hoping to find even one small opening left. What makes this stage so exhausting is that it's subtle and chaotic at the same time. It's not always explosive. Sometimes it's tiny behaviors, tiny comments, tiny attempts to get under your skin. Did you forget me already? Wow, you've changed. I guess you're too good now. Why are you acting like this? I know you still care. Even small phrases like these are fishing lines, hooks designed to see if you'll react. Narcissists don't just want your attention, they want your emotional participation. They want your energy. Your reaction tells them whether they still have access to your inner world. So when you don't respond, or you respond calmly, or you set a clear boundary, they escalate. Because nothing scares a narcissist more than an empath who no longer reacts. Sometimes the boundary testing comes through accidental contact, a misplaced call, a message sent to the wrong person, a sudden crisis, a meaningless question they could Google. Other times it's through triangulation, involving another person, posting something for your eyes, or trying to make you jealous. They poke old wounds to see if you'll flinch. They test the seams of your healing, hoping to find a soft spot. They want to know if they can still get inside your mind. But in 2026, something is different. Empaths have stepped into a higher spiritual awakening, and their boundaries are no longer fragile or emotional, they are fortified by divine clarity. This clarity changes the entire dynamic. It's no longer a battle between your heart and their manipulation, it's a quiet knowing, a spiritual certainty, a grounded peace. Boundaries used to feel difficult for empaths, guilt-ridden, heavy, uncertain. But in 2026, boundaries feel natural, instinctive, sacred. They don't come from fear, they come from truth. They don't require effort, they flow from self-respect. They don't need explanation, they stand on their own. This spiritual clarity is what makes the narcissist's boundary testing fail repeatedly. Your energy no longer trembles when they push. Your voice doesn't shake when you say no. Your mind doesn't spiral when they provoke. You don't fall into the old trap of explaining yourself endlessly. You don't absorb their irritation. You don't try to soothe their ego. And you don't entertain the tiny crumbs of attention they throw your way. Your spiritual growth has made their tactics completely transparent. You can see the manipulation before it even arrives. You can feel the insincerity behind every word. What used to confuse you now makes perfect sense. What used to hurt you now reveals truth. What used to pull you back now pushes you forward. This is why 2026 is such a turning point. The empath's boundaries are no longer walls built from fear, they are gates guarded by intuition. They are reinforced by divine guidance, not by emotional exhaustion. Empaths are finally listening to the quiet voice within them, the voice that says, "This is not love. This is not safety. This is not your responsibility." That inner guidance becomes stronger than guilt, stronger than nostalgia, stronger than hope. You begin choosing peace over potential. You begin choosing truth over illusions. You begin choosing alignment over attachment. And when this internal shift happens, the narcissist feels it like a sudden drop in temperature. They can sense that the doorway to your spirit is closed. They can sense that their access has been revoked. They can sense that you've stepped into a frequency they cannot reach. This is when the boundary testing becomes frantic. They may say things intended to trigger your empathy, "I thought you were different." They may say things meant to provoke your anger, "You're heartless now." They may try to guilt trip you, "I needed you and you abandoned me." They may try to reel you in with love bombing, "No one will ever love you like I did." But nothing lands the way they expect. Their words feel heavy, empty, out of place. Their tone sounds rehearsed. Their attempts feel desperate. Every move they make only reveals how little they ever understood your heart. What's powerful about 2026 is that spiritual justice moves hand in hand with spiritual clarity. God is not only protecting the empath, He is guiding them. The doors that once led back into toxic cycles are now sealed from the inside. Every attempt the narcissist makes to re-enter is met with silence or calm distance. Every manipulation is met with awareness. Every provocation is met with neutrality. This calmness confuses the narcissist more than anger ever could. Because anger still meant you were emotionally involved. But calmness means you are spiritually free. And when your boundaries become this strong, the narcissist finally confronts their deepest fear. Not that you hate them, but that you feel nothing. Not that you're angry, but that you're indifferent. Not that you'll return, but that you're gone. Because once an empath builds boundaries based on divine clarity, they are no longer breakable. They are no longer movable. They are no longer negotiable. They become sacred. The narcissist tests your boundaries one last time because they need proof. Proof that their power is gone. Proof that their tactics no longer work. Proof that you have awakened. And when they finally accept that nothing they do can reach you anymore, their last card fails completely. They lose the one thing they valued most. Not your love, not your loyalty, but your emotional access. And you walk away stronger, wiser, and spiritually sealed. God fortified your boundaries long before you knew you needed them, so when the narcissist tested you one last time, they discovered the truth. You are no longer theirs to reach, touch, or influence ever again. When a narcissist realizes you're no longer accessible, no longer reactive, no longer emotionally open to them, they reach for one of their most subtle yet powerful strategies, triggering your emotional memory. This isn't by accident. This isn't random. This is intentional psychological precision. They know exactly which insecurity used to make you crumble, which memory used to make you cry, which wound used to make you soften. They know your emotional blueprint because you once trusted them with it. And now that trust becomes the weapon they try to use one last time. They may bring up moments when you felt small, helpless, or unworthy, moments where you once needed their validation. They'll mention comments you made years ago about your fears, your self-doubts, your deepest vulnerabilities. They'll casually slip in a reminder of the time someone abandoned you, hoping you'll associate that fear with the idea of losing them. They will remind you of your past mistakes, your flaws, or moments you weren't proud of, not to heal them, but to reopen them. Because a reopened wound is easier to control than a healed one. They do this because emotional memory has a way of bypassing logic. It bypasses strength. It bypasses distance. Emotional memory takes you back to a version of yourself that was still learning, still unprotected, still open to being manipulated. And narcissists depend on that regression. If they can make you feel like the old you, they believe they can regain the old access. But in 2026, something has shifted profoundly within the empath. You are no longer operating from your old emotional framework. You are not the person you were when the narcissist first learned your weaknesses. You are spiritually, mentally, and emotionally upgraded. God has done internal work on you that the narcissist has no access to. Wounds that once bled at a single touch are now sealed, strengthened, and transformed into wisdom. The cracks they used to slip through have been closed by divine healing. So when they try to trigger old insecurities, the reaction they expect never comes. Their words fall flat. Their attempts feel foreign. The emotional hooks they used to rely on simply don't stick. It's not that you've become cold, it's that you've become whole. And wholeness is something a narcissist cannot penetrate, cannot manipulate, cannot dismantle. For the first time, the narcissist is speaking to a healed spirit, not a wounded one. They're trying to connect to a version of you that no longer exists. And this realization frustrates them deeply. They sense the distance, the detachment, the emotional protection surrounding you. They feel, energetically, that the places they once controlled have been closed by a higher hand. In 2026, empaths carry a spiritual armor that makes them emotionally untouchable. Your intuition is sharper. Your boundaries are sacred. Your self-worth is not negotiable. You see their tactics in real time and recognize them instantly. What once confused you now brings clarity. What once hurt you now exposes them. What once controlled you now frees you. Narcissists rely on the past to regain control. They rely on your old wounds to pull you back into old cycles. But when God heals what they used to break, the game ends. They can trigger nothing because nothing is left to trigger. In 2026, the empath's emotional memory is no longer a battlefield, it is a library of lessons. And the narcissist no longer has a key. When a narcissist reaches for their final card, they do it with the belief that they still hold power over your spirit, your emotions, and your future. They believe the same tactics that once weakened you will still work. They believe the same manipulation will still land. They believe the same cycle will repeat. But 2026 is not like the years before. This is the year of divine interception, where God steps in so forcefully, so precisely, so unmistakably, that the narcissist's last move collapses before it even reaches you. Their strategy fails not because you reacted differently, but because the spiritual path around you has been fortified beyond their reach. God begins blocking what once had access. Conversations that used to drain your energy suddenly fall flat. Messages that once pulled you back now feel empty. Invitations, temptations, and emotional hooks lose their power completely. The narcissist may try to reconnect, love bomb, guilt trip, or provoke, but nothing goes through. Their words feel hollow because your spirit has shifted to a higher frequency. What once triggered you no longer resonates. What once confused you no longer touches you. It's as if a spiritual filter has been placed between you and them. Everything harmful gets stopped before it reaches your heart. This divine interception shows up in unexpected ways. You may find yourself losing interest in explaining, defending, or fixing anything related to the narcissist. This isn't emotional detachment, it's divine redirection. God removes the urge to prove your worth. God removes the desire to be understood. God removes the temptation to return to what harmed you. A peace settles in your chest that cannot be shaken. You no longer respond with anxiety, you respond with clarity. You no longer feel fear, you feel release. And this shift is so powerful that the narcissist can sense it spiritually, even before you say a word. Connections begin to break in ways that don't make sense logically. Calls don't go through, plans fall apart, communication gets interrupted, and the narcissist's attempts to re-enter your life feel strangely blocked. This isn't coincidence. This is divine interference. God is closing doors that your heart once struggled to close on its own. God is removing emotional access you once gave too freely. God is shutting pathways the narcissist used to reach you, and doing it in a way that leaves no room for re-entry. Meanwhile, intentions that were once hidden begin to reveal themselves instantly. Masks slip faster. Lies unravel quicker. People who once defended the narcissist suddenly see the truth. Situations that were once confusing become painfully clear. The spiritual fog lifts, exposing their manipulation in a way you can't unsee. God is speeding up the timing of truth, allowing you to witness exactly who they are without needing evidence or explanation. And the narcissist's greatest fear becomes reality. Their power over you dissolves in real time. 2026 is the year where empaths walk with divine insight, the kind that cannot be manipulated, twisted, or deceived. The narcissist throws their final card expecting chaos, but instead they hit a wall of God's protection. Every attack becomes powerless. Every attempt becomes transparent. Every tactic becomes ineffective. They try emotional memory, it fails. They try nostalgia, it fails. They try crisis, it fails. They try spiritual imitation, it fails. Because God is standing between you and the harm they intend. The empath walks forward untouched, not because the narcissist stopped attacking, but because their attacks can no longer penetrate the spiritual shield surrounding you. God's timing turns every trap into a revelation. Every manipulation into closure. Every game into self-exposure. And the narcissist is left powerless, confused, and spiritually blocked. Their final move doesn't just fail, it backfires. You rise higher, stronger, clearer. You step into a future they cannot follow, cannot sabotage, cannot contaminate. In 2026, God doesn't just protect the empath, He removes every doorway the narcissist once used and seals it permanently. Their last card fails because God stepped in long before they even played it. You.